Welcome to the Battlefield Show. I'm your host, Sage Goodwin, and as always, I'm joined by Sammy Boy. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Ready to hop in and discuss some more things about Battlefield. We're going to be talking about some changes that they're going to be making with the game on consoles, as well as some things that we'd like to see going forward in Season 6, now that we've had a little bit of time to see how Season 5 is ready to rock and roll, and obviously just give you a little bit of an update on our experiences with Season 5. So, let's jump right in. First off, man, I don't have anything different to say from last week's episode about this map. Some games I love it, some games I hate it.
Yeah, it's a weird one like that. I don't think there's really that many other maps in the game that are like that for me either, but yeah, I kind of feel that. I think I definitely tend to like it more than I dislike it, but I definitely, like, say on Spearhead, I don't think I've ever had a game where I'm like, oh, I don't like this map. Mm-hmm. Whereas on this, I've definitely had, even if it's just like 1 in 10 games, I've definitely had games where I'm like, man, this map is really annoying for some reason.
Yeah.
So it's a weird one. I think it is just to do with the balancing for me. It's just because sometimes you just feel like you're getting smashed.
Yeah.
Which is just, yeah. Hopefully they can fix that. Not sure whether they can or will, but yeah, for the most part, I definitely still very much enjoyed it. It feels like more of an old school Battlefield map for me. Like, has those Battlefield 4, maybe Battlefield 3 vibes to it.
I almost think this game, again, don't tell anybody I said this. I might get kicked out of the Battlefield community. This map, I almost feel like they could have done 128 players with the same size, and it would be pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'd probably be really chaotic, but I think that would be like...
That would be the benefit, because like right now I don't feel like there's anything... Like, it's already chaotic, but in an unenjoyable way. If there were more people, it would get rid of the freaking campers.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you'd be able to find people instead of like half the map you're looking for someone, or half the game you're looking for someone, and then the other half you're trying to not get found by someone.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm kind of surprised in a way that they didn't put it in 128, but then also I guess they've kind of like
they kind of said, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, so it's a weird one. I think I have actually seen a lot more like dislike about that in the community than I expected. I kind of felt like most people weren't a fan of 128. And then, but now, like, I see a lot of complaints, like, this map sucks because I can't play 128. So it's, like, kind of surprising. Because, I felt like when they kind of pivoted away from it, I really liked 128 player Conquest, even though it was a bit much, to be honest, on most maps, and it kind of affected the performance. But I kind of liked it. And when I remember, like, when they first removed that, I felt like a bit of the outcast of like, oh, I'm kind of sad, but everyone else was happy. Whereas now it almost feels like it's switched. Although I guess like the people who are happy with 64 players, they aren't going to say anything now. Yeah, so I guess that's just how it always goes. But I definitely have seen more complaints than I expected. I thought it would just no one would say anything, but yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying like, oh man, like where's 128 players for this one?
Yeah, it's a really weird situation. I think it's totally the people that liked 128 weren't saying anything, and then when they had 128 people, but all the 64 player people were like, "No, get rid of it."
Yeah,
and then it's kind of just reversed, which is funny.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, it's Battlefield community is weird.
Yeah.
But I think overall, like we said last episode, it feels like a Battlefield 4 map, but in 2042. I think they just need to focus on the spawns. They need to focus on the balancing of the actual map itself, and they just need to get more of like an idea together to like, why should you play this map? What's enjoyable about it? And I think the most enjoyable thing is those close quarters combat sections. But getting to each of those close quarters combat sections, absolutely a horrible experience.
Yeah, I think that's the only issue with it is like the middle areas have not that much flow to them compared to a lot of the other maps. You can kind of I feel like you can get from point A to point B without it being like stressful. Whereas in this, it's sometimes a bit like, oh god, I've got to go to that flag. Am I even going to make it? Like that's kind of the same issue that a lot of the vanilla maps had, and that was why we didn't like them, because those, I guess, like no man's land areas, like they just don't work that well. So luckily, I think because it's a bit of a smaller map than the base maps, it works better than they did for sure, but it's almost like a mix of the new maps and the vanilla maps in that way. Like, there are definitely some areas that are just like, a little bit, not even too open, but just like, they can even be close quarters areas, but they're set up for campers. So like you run through an area and there's just like a million people camping in there.
Like that one like really close quarters area with like the building. Like if you're on the roof,
like the bunker one or the two central buildings.
Actually, both of them, honestly. The bunker has, you camp inside and you keep throwing grenades, or you keep on sniping as people go in. Or you can be outside and snipe people as they're trying to get in. On the, like, half torn down buildings, you camp on the roof and you can snipe people as they're trying to get into the building. You have to watch out for snipers, so there's a little bit of balance there. But most of the time, if you have, like, 3 people on the same team on that roof, you don't have to worry about getting sniped because you're each watching out for the other. So like stuff like that, I just don't feel like it's very balanced in that regards.
I definitely tend to agree there. That's really just my main issue with it. I think 9 out of 10 areas it works really well, and it's just that one area that stops it from being like as good as the other maps in the game.
What's funny is the most like balanced area is the like semi-open oil refinery looking place. Which I did not expect.
Yeah, exactly. Should be almost the least like reliable area because it's very, very open and like you can get shot from every direction. But for some reason that kind of works. Yeah,
it's so weird. But I think it's overall like, I enjoy playing it sometimes. I enjoy playing it not as much other times. But it's a new map. It's enjoyable. And I think once they figure out the balancing for it, obviously there's the survey that's been going around. People have been filling that out, trying to get more details on how to properly take that into effect here and just like get things rock and rolling in that regards.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like they do tend to listen from those surveys a fair bit, so hopefully they get some good feedback and, they can put it into action.
Yeah. But the other thing we need to talk about in this episode is there was some discussions. Kevin, the community manager for Battlefield 2042, I think it was on Reddit or something like that, or I don't know what it was, where it came from, but he did have something to add around making the game more enjoyable, specifically for console players, and they have an intent that... So this is what they say. We currently have no plans to have console crossplay off by default. It is our intent that all players should feel encouraged to play with other platforms and be able to find friends and experience Battlefield 2042 with all players. I would like to asterisk that. Battlefield 2042 is the worst place to find friends now that they've added everything in. All of the other Battlefield games, like you could find buddies, you can keep on going, but Battlefield 2042, you cannot make friends in this game. You don't randomly stumble upon people, because if you get into a random game with someone random, the next game you're not playing with them again.
Yeah, it's really annoying because that was something about Battlefield that, same with like Battlefront, I've made so many friends on the channel from just being in games with them all the time, and then we just became friends. I have not had that with 2042, and I've actually had a lot of times where, like on Aussie servers, I guess the population isn't so limited that I get a lot of people who actually are like, oh, is this Sammy from YouTube? And I'll be in the chat like, yeah. And then like I never see them again because they're not in the same lobby. It's like really annoying because I'm like, half the time I'm like, oh, do you want to squad up? Like we're on the same team. Let's squad up. And we do, and we have fun, and they play the objective, and we end up winning. And then it's just like, well, I will not see you ever again. Like, have a good life. So
see you later, pal.
Really annoying, and I hope that they do try and, if they're going to try and make these changes, I hope that they can try to fix that as well, because that's a big downfall of this game, I think.
Yeah. But going on after that little side rant of like, this is not true. Lies. Other than that, but they've been looking for ways to improve the console player experiences, and specifically on how people are finding games. They're trying to make it to where people that are playing on console get matched with other console players more frequently, which I think is a good decision, because that's what a lot of console players have concerns about, is when they get paired up with PC gamers. And honestly, I don't think it's as big of an issue as it used to be. I feel like the difference, the skill gap between PC and consoles is as small as it's ever been. But I feel like this is the right move to make, and to make sure that they're playing on the platforms that they want them to play on, meaning like this this illusion that they have around Battlefield being a place to hang out with friends.
That is not the truth at all. I think it's a good decision as well. I think, like you said, I don't think, like, as a player, I think most people who weigh in, and you and me are probably both one of the few people that I actually know who are both console and PC players. Mm-hmm. Most people who weigh in on the topic, it'll be like a 13-year PC veteran who's never touched a controller, and they're like,
There's no
the
difference.
aim assist is overpowered. And then the console player who's never played on keyboard and mouse, they go, but the PC players can aim with their whole arm and stuff. Like, it's not that different. Yeah. As someone who literally plays on both, it's not that different. But I do think there are, like, situations where it's different. So, for example, up close, like, controllers do have a slight advantage because of aim assist. And then at range, the PC players do have a slight advantage because it's a lot easier to keep on target at, like, longer distances. And I think if you can just limit those issues being in the game, not that it's like one or the other is better, but if you can just make it as fair as possible, so if possible everyone who's playing with a controller is playing against people with a controller, I think that's just a good thing. So I don't think it's a huge issue having crossplay, but I'm all for fairness. So even like down to hell, even on console, if you can match mostly Xbox people with Xbox people over PlayStation people, even that's a good thing. It doesn't change anything, but it's like you may as well just make it as fair as possible. They're on the same like servers and everything, so it's just like, I just think that's the best way to do it. So I think that's a good change. Whether it, like, I don't know if the player base is big enough to really do that in some places anyway, but if they're gonna, if they've talked about it, I guess they have looked into it, so it may be possible, hopefully.
They're at least going to try it out. Another thing which will not make previously mentioned PC players happy will be the this next line, which is, hey, we're looking at making the aim assist a little bit better in certain ways. They're trying to make it more fair when it comes to using a controller through stuff like uniform soldier testing or uniform soldier aiming, aim down sight field of view alterations, and in the future improvements to how aim assist functions. So not necessarily saying, we're going to make it better, but saying we're going to try to make it a little bit more enjoyable for people.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing that they need to do, because it feels a little bit like inconsistent more than anything right now. It's not like good or bad. It's just sometimes I feel like I can like do really well with it when it comes to aiming. And to be fair, it could just come down to like one game I just do well and the next I don't. But it does feel like sometimes I just cannot aim. And then the next game, like, I'm literally not missing shots. So it's like, if they can just make it more consistent, that's probably where, because I feel like there is times when like aim assist might take over too much, and then the PC player who got killed by it, they're like, what the hell, how is that fair? But then the next game, the thing they don't see, they just think that every bit of aim assist is like that. But then the next game, that same player is like unable to even hit a shot because the aim assist barely even works. So it's like, it's just it seems very hit and miss. I've even just the other day had to like check my aim assist settings to see if it was even on, because it felt as though I just couldn't, like, there was no help whatsoever, which people, like, a lot of PC players will go, oh, like, you must suck if you need the help. There's a reason it has aim assist, because it is objectively harder to aim with a controller. So it's like, you can't, if you turn it off, it is a lot harder than aiming. Like, I'm not nearly as much of a PC player, but I can snap onto people with a mouse like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, reflex time on PC is just worlds better. I don't care. Yes. I don't care what you say.
Yeah, exactly. Like, a lot of people try and make the argument, and that's why I think, like, it's nice to finally have a discussion with someone who plays both as well, because it's like, you actually know what you're talking about. Most people who, it sounds like rude saying that, but most people who enter the discussion, I would say, of all gamers, there's like 5% who have console and PC.
Yeah.
The rest are just one or the other. So 95% of the people who are talking, they don't actually know what they're talking about, which is fair enough if they want to get involved in the discussion, but they don't actually fully understand what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think there's definitely that disconnect between both sides of, I only play console, I only play PC. I don't see why the other people are having issues with it.
It's more just about it. You can even, like, having played both, you can still even come up with a opinion that one is better than the other. That's fine, but it's more just like people haven't experienced the other side of it. Because I do know on PC, like, with a keyboard and mouse, if I'm in close quarters and someone has a controller, they're going to probably annihilate me, and that's just how it goes. And then vice versa, if I'm at long range and they're on the controller, I'm probably going to slap them, because that's literally just how the advantage goes. So yeah, anything to balance it out a bit more and not make one or the other better or whatever, just trying to make it as consistent as it can be. I think anything to do with that is definitely a good decision by them.
And that's the whole job that they have with the game, right? Is trying to make it enjoyable for all players. Yeah. And I think it's good that they're saying, yes, we're looking into it. We know that more people want to play, like, more console players want to play with other console players. But we'll see. We'll see how it actually, like, takes effect.
Yeah, exactly. It's one thing to say it, but whether it can, I don't think there'll ever be, like, a balance between like crossplay. Like, it's just, they are two platforms. It's like a runner racing against a freaking horse. Like, they're both running, but they're different species. It's not going to be fair, is it? So you gotta just get it as balanced as you can. And unfortunately, there will always just be a slight difference. And hopefully, with more games being crossplay, like, we'll eventually just get used to it. But
yeah. And I think the benefits of crossplay much outweigh the downsides. Yeah,
100%. Like, there are definitely times when I'll die to a PC player or I'll die to a console player if I'm on PC and I'm, like, annoyed by it. But just the fact I can find a lobby in the first place is worth it. Because, like, if there's no crossplay, I probably am not finding any lobbies. So I'm definitely all down for it. It's always a good thing, I think, as long as it's as balanced as it can be.
Moving on, last episode we talked about the idea of a season 6, but mostly we focused on what would we expect it to be. This time I want to talk about how we would like it to be. What would we like to see in a season 6? What do we expect to see in a season 6? What's the minimum amount of content that we'd like to see? What would make a season 6? And then what's like, man, this is the dream content. So that's what we're going to be discussing today. First off, what's like bare minimum this would count as a season? Because right now, what a season is, or what it used to be, was one specialist, one map, one rework, with some sprinkling of weapons and gadgets, that kind of stuff. That's what it was. Season 5 is just a new map and just a rework with some new weapons and some old weapons. What does it look like for season 6 to step forward? What would it take for you to be like, okay, that's enough for this to be called a season?
Realistically, probably just the same as this one. I think this season has been, it's fine. It's what I expected. So it's like a map, few weapons. The portal changes make it a bit hard to tell because it would be portal weapons instead of the, like, additions. And I feel like that would feel like more content. For me, that's like, as much as I still think that is obviously not very much content in the history of like shooters. That's a slow, like low output season. But for this game, that's just what we expect, and for me, I've come to like accept that. So realistically, just what they've done this season is like the bare minimum of what I'd expect. If there's less than that, I'd probably be a bit annoyed, and if there's more, I think I'd be, to be honest, a bit surprised because it's what I've come to expect. So,
what replaces the map rework?
That's a good question. I think this is where it's more getting into dream reality than actual reality. Like, dream reality doesn't make sense, but dream, like the dream content versus the reality. I would love another map. Make 2 small maps. I don't care if it's the same surface area of a normal map. Just give me 2. I would be so down for that. I think we need smaller maps. So like, that's what I would love, but then realistically, I just don't think that'll happen. So I don't know. I don't know what replaces the rework, unless it's some sort of other like rework of another area of the game, like a big. For example, like there's a lot of issues in the game with like hit registration and stuff like that. If they could try and rework that so that the game just like really plays smoother compared to what it does now. Not that it doesn't play smoothly, but just like really making it from like a good shooter to like a really, really good first person shooter, then that I think I'd be happy with. But also that doesn't feel like content, because like at least a new, like a rework of a map that feels like somewhat of new content, like it's got at least
something juicy,
new content on the same map, I guess. Reworks that just feels like a bug fix if you're fixing like the hit registration and stuff. So I don't know, it's a really good question because we haven't really had to think about that until now. Like, we kind of knew what we were getting every season, and now that's not so much the case because the reworks are done. There's no specialists, so like, I just don't know. I don't know what to expect. What about you? Like, what's your bare minimum for next season?
Bare minimum would be obviously the new map. I would like new weapons at least. I would like some new gadgets as well. I want more snipers. I know we just got a new sniper. I want more new snipers. So we had a question on Twitter, I believe. Let me see if I can find it. And this got me thinking, like, this could be a good alternative to what we might be getting, what we could get when we look at a replacement for a map rework. What do you think? This comes from Zek. What would you think about a new game mode?
If it was a good enough mode, then yes. It just depends, because like the limited time modes they've done, I'll be honest, they're not. None of them have really been that good. There was the one, I forget, I think it was like
the last
Blackout
mid-season
or something. I can't even remember the name of it.
Event. That was rocking. The one where you kind of like you have to capture the little gadgets and either defend or attack, and they had a time limit.
To, like, scramble their cache, their weapon cache, or whatever it was. That was really fun. And I think I even made a video saying like, please make that permanent. So something like that, I'd be down for. But yeah, most of the other ones they've done, I'll be honest, they haven't been that good.
Yeah.
So I think that one is unfortunately more just dependent on like if it was good. Which is a very weird thing to say because obviously we want anything to be good. You could say the same thing about the map. If the map sucks, then that's not good. But I think like if it was just a not good mode and that was a piece of content, I think it wouldn't feel like a piece of content. Whereas at least if they add a map and it's not really that good, I think I'd still be like accepting that is a piece of new content. So it's a good question. I think I'd say yes, just assuming it isn't like Conquest with a slight twist to it. If it's like a full-on new mode, even if I don't really love it, but it's like drastically different, then I think I could accept that. I think I'd be down for that.
Yeah, Battlefield 2042 is super weird when it comes to new maps. Or not new maps, when it comes to new modes. Because they have freaking Portal, and I feel like it's the easiest cop-out to say, you can make whatever new mode you want to if you go over to Portal. It's like, yeah, but I don't want to. And if I go there, the game mode that I want to play, which is gun game, gun master, whatever you want to call it by whatever name, there's very few people where the one game mode that actually has all the maps I like or has all the settings that doesn't mess with it and make it super weird, it's full or it's empty. Doesn't matter what time I try to do it. Like, it's either I can't play it this way or I can't play it the other way. I don't want to play with bots. I want something new and refreshing, but isn't just a limited time thing. I would like to see, what does another tab on that look like? What does it look like to replace Hazard Zone with something new and fascinating that they make that brings people in? It could be a small scale thing where it limits you to like a couple squads doing this mission type of thing. It could be much bigger scale. I think it would be cool to see something added on those tabs that makes it feel like a real game mode from DICE in Battlefield.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think like it has to be a big addition. It can't just be, like I've said, like Conquest but slightly different. It needs to be like an entire new thing that, like you said, it can't. I don't know what it is about Portal, but it's just not the same, which is a real shame because Portal has so much potential. And I think it's a great addition, but it's just not... Like, I just have never played Portal. Like, the game's been out 18 months, and I've literally, like, never played it once it actually launched. Because it's just not... It's not the official mode. It's just like, with... Back in Call of Duty, they used to have similar things where there was, like, the infected mode and stuff, and it was fun every now and then to jump into that, but that wasn't, like, official Call of Duty. I would go and play Domination and stuff like that, because that's, like, the core modes of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's like that for me. I don't know if everyone's like that, or if it's just me being like OCD about it or something. I don't know, but I just, I need them to make, if they're going to make a good mode, it needs to be in the actual like all-out warfare section of the game, because that is where the play base is. That's where the casual players, they don't go to Portal. They just go to the first thing that's on the menu, which is usually Conquest or Breakthrough. So,
don't make me think about Portal.
Yeah.
Let me matchmake. Let me go into this. Let me play this new game mode. Make it a unique idea. Make it a unique experience. And let me just play it. Don't make me think. Don't make me go to Portal. Don't act like Portal is the answer to all of life's questions. Add a new mode to Battlefield that feels like what it used to feel like when they added a new mode to Battlefield.
Yeah. And like they used to do that. I remember, I think it was Battlefield 4, they added the I forget the name. It was like Carrier Assault or something. And it had like, you started off on the actual like aircraft carriers and stuff, and it was almost like you did like a D-Day attack where you actually had to storm the beach and take over the beach from like boats, and then you would move into the actual map itself, and it was essentially like just picture D-Day but on all the Battlefield maps, like a beach landing type of thing. That was like so much fun, and they added, it wasn't just that, they added like so many modes to that game, and like something like that where it's like, and like think of Battlefront 2 where they added Galactic, was it, I can't even remember, Galactic Conquest, Galactic.
Yep. They had Galactic Assault, they had Galactic I think it was Conquest.
Oh, Capital Supremacy. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
We hoped it was Galactic Conquest because that's what the old Battlefronts had. Supremacy. So, like, that was a big... Even though I didn't even really like that, to be honest. That was, like, a big addition that actually...
Yeah, it changed the game drastically.
The community, yeah. Like, they need to make a statement with the addition if it's going to be considered content. And again, like that, even though I actually didn't even like Supremacy, I went and just kept playing Galactic Assault. But I think I accepted that, yeah, even though I don't like it, that is a big piece of content that a lot of the player base is really happy about. So that is the point where I would accept that as new content. If it was just some small little, like, a variant of Rush, like, I'm just going to go play Rush instead. So, yeah, it's a tough one to answer just because I feel like you'd almost have to answer it once the game is actually out, which, I mean, once the content is out, but yeah, I think if they can nail it, like, that would be cool to have, like, an actual exciting new mode. Imagine the excitement of, like, when they first added Rush to this, as into All Out Warfare. That was actually really exciting, and it made me want to play the game. If they could do that again with another, like, a large-scale mode or something, then, yeah, I think I'd definitely be down for that.
Yeah, I'd be all for it. I think that would be something that could replace, like, the map rework. It's something that is new, it's exciting, it's something that people can play pretty consistently, and it also just freshens up the game.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what they need at this point, is something to refresh the game, because the new content they're adding, it's all, like, good, but it's 5 seasons of it. This is, like, into the second year of this. You can't just, like, put out the same thing every season, even if it's all really good. If you just did 8 seasons that are pretty much identical to each other, that's not, by the end of it, it's not exciting anymore.
Yeah.
You need to, like, have something new and, like, fresh.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the struggle of Battlefield 2042 now that they've removed the specialist and they've made all their map reworks.
Yeah.
It's a good thing they've got all the maps reworked.
Yeah. It's just it's almost a bad thing in a way, isn't it? Because it's like, it's good to get them done and they needed to be done, but then, like, also, now what? Like, now what's my content for next season? I need something else. So it's almost like they kind of shot themselves in the foot, and it's like, oh, we're actually done with all the stuff we promised. Now, like, we have to do something else. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do. Surely they have plans. They can't just drop a season with a map, 2 weapons, and a couple portal weapons, and then that's it for 3 months. That's that. At that point, I'm, like, then annoyed. Like, that's back to being. All the previous seasons, I've been pretty happy with them. That season, I would be not happy at all. I'd be making a lot of negative videos saying this is just not good enough. So, after all the work they've done to get the game where it is, they can't afford to, like, regress like that. They have to do something. Even if it's not a crazy amount of content, they have to just try something and show that they are still trying to put in the proper amount of effort. They're not just putting in, like, the bare minimum and trying to, like, sell it off like they're doing God's work or something like that.
Yeah. And, like, this is the time frame. If they don't, like, do this properly, they run the risk of, like, I could totally see a strategy here, which is, hey guys, how's it going? Well, we announced Season 6. We added just 1 new map, some portal weapons, and, like, 2 new weapons, and maybe a grenade, maybe a vehicle. And then everyone plays it, and by the end of the season, when we'd usually get, like, a map rework and they do nothing, they're like, surprise Pikachu, like, oh, hey, man, it doesn't seem like people are really staying engaged with the game anymore. Time to cancel it, and then we'll just go on to the next game.
Yeah. And that is, like, annoying if that is how, if they do that. They almost, like, gaslighting us into, like, being the reason it gets cancelled. Like, no, we want the game to keep going and we want more content. Don't try and pin it on us that, oh, the engagement's not there. You guys don't like it anymore, so we'll go do something else. No, we don't like it because what you did in Season 6 wasn't enough or whatever. So, yeah. I really hope that's not the case, but time will tell, I guess.
That's what scares me.
Yeah. I've just had, like, a full existential crisis about this game now. That conversation was not fun because now I'm worried. Yeah.
It's like you said last episode, I think it was, we're just like a needy girlfriend, like, But
Yeah.
do you actually love me?
Yeah.
Are you actually doing
They
this
can-
thing? Tell
they
me
can
you're
keep
doing this
proving
thing
it.
again.
Yeah. They can keep proving it over and over that they've changed, but I think I'll always have that bit of a oh, but is this game going to keep getting supported? Even if they like announced 10 more seasons, I'd be like, but what if you cancel it? Like, there's always that, like, I guess, negative or like nervous side of me that, yeah, until they prove me wrong for like 10 years, I just will always have that because unfortunately they did that themselves. So I think there'll always be a bit of nerves there, unfortunately.
Yeah. This is what they've done to us, man. We're broken.
Yeah.
We're broken people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what, like, if you could write up and make your own, like, this is the perfect season, what would it be?
I think the reality of that depends on if it was like the final season, because I think they can put a bit more into the final season because they know that like they don't have to keep working on future stuff. Like they can just they can do it all in that last one.
Mm-hmm.
So assuming this isn't the last season, I would probably say I would love 2 maps. I would love a map at the start and a map in the second update, and then the rest of the stuff that we normally get. So, I
Yeah.
don't know, 3 new weapons and a bunch of portal weapons, more bug fixes and stuff like that. And then in that, update 6.2, maybe just do like, that's when they can add like a limited time mode, or they can do the events that they usually do in the middle, push that back by 1 update and have the second map in like the middle update or something.
Yeah.
Two good quality maps per season. I would be then saying like that. I think that's actually good, even though compared to Battlefield 4, they used to do like 4 maps, but they were a lot smaller. They weren't like, we were playing on 360s and stuff back then. It's not the same as it is on the current hardware, and with the world that's been left behind after COVID, everything's still a little bit in shambles. So like, I think I'd be fine with that. But yeah, I don't think that will ever happen. Maybe, like I said, for the last season, I think there's a chance they would do 2 maps for the last season, just as like a final, like a farewell to the game, and sort of leave on a bang. But consistently, as in like season 6, 7, and 8, having 2 maps each, I don't think that would happen if we even get seasons beyond this one. So I don't know. That's what I would consider like a good season within like realistic terms, because a good season for me I could just say like 10 maps. Like that's obviously just unrealistic. But I think 2 maps is like somewhat realistic. That I don't think we're asking too much if we ask for that. So that would be my quote unquote dream season, assuming it's realistic. What about yours?
I love that idea of having that flow, like having the main stuff be like boom map, here's the weapons, here's the gadgets, and then here's the limited time mode. That is a good flow. It gives you so much time with each of those things, but like keeps it coming. You don't have that slump in the middle. And then by the time that you kind of get a little bit bored of the maps, boom, there's a game mode.
Yeah. Which could then take place on both of the new maps. Like, you can utilize them and the new weapons, and you can make whatever limited mode, like, I don't know, let's just say you add 2 snipers in that season. Just do, like, snipers only on the 2 new maps for a week or something. Like, I don't know. Like, just something like that. I think, like you said, there's that slump in the middle that just happens every season, unfortunately. The start of the season's so strong, I'm so addicted to the game, and then by 2 to 3 weeks in, I'm a bit bored. I come back for the update 5.1. I'll play that. It's a good bit of fun for a week or 2, and then I get bored of it again. And then the next update comes, and I just do the same thing again, and by update 5.2, I play for like 3 days, and then I'm just fully bored for like a month because I've just been playing the same map, the same game for so long now. So doing it that way where you kind of get a bit bored after 2 to 3 weeks, but you know that in a week from now there's a new map, so you kind of like, oh, I might just keep playing this week and get all my guns ready for the new map, and then the new map comes and you're excited again for another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then, oh, there's that cool mode coming out, and then you just keep playing. That would keep me engaged the entire time, whereas the way that they've done it so far, even though I've really liked the seasons, I don't think there's been a single season or even a single month where I've played like consistently the whole month. I usually just, it's the same process of, full on like addiction for 2 weeks. The third week it tails off. I play a few times, but I'm not like addicted anymore. And the fourth week I just think, there's an update next week. I'll just go play it when the update comes out. It's just literally the same thing for over a year now. So anything to change that, I'd be very down for.
Yeah, same here. I think that's such a good flow because it's like it's such a good pacing thing. Like boom, 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 and like you said, by the time that you get a little bit tired of the limit time only mode, it's done. And then you're like, oh man, I wish I could keep on playing that. You still play Battlefield, and then you just wait until the next update. Like, it's a good flow.
Yeah, because that is the thing that when there's an extended period after something ends, and it's ages until the next piece of content, that is why I lose focus. Because I'm like, I don't think I will still be enjoying this in a month of playing the same thing. So why even bother playing right now? I'm not super addicted to it. And if I'm not going to be addicted in a month, I may as well just go play some other games that I will be addicted to. But if there's that thing that like next week, I'm currently really enjoying the game and next week there's another big update, that single player game that I'm playing on the side, I'm just going to be like, I'll just get to that after this season. Because I want to sink my teeth into that, but there's only a week to fit it in until I know I'm going to be playing this again. So I'll just play Battlefield that whole week. And then you just don't have that, like the ebb and flow of excitement and then boredom and then excitement and then boredom, which is like the only downside to this game. I really, really enjoy Battlefield 2042, but I've never stuck at it for a whole season. Whereas like Battlefield 1, I just played it from launch until it stopped. Like I just didn't really stop. There'd be like 2 weeks there where a new single player game came out. What the hell? Something just fell off my desk randomly. There must be a ghost in here, apparently. But like I would play something else for like 2 weeks when a new game came out, but I knew that I was just straight back on Battlefield after that. Whereas, I'll just go long periods without playing this game. Not because I don't like it, but it's not new and exciting the whole time. And that's a real like downside to the game. It's the difference for me between the great Battlefields and this game. I think this game is a good Battlefield, but I don't think it's a great Battlefield, and that's probably the main reason why.
I'm not like constantly trying to like, I need to put down Zelda so I can like keep on playing Battlefield all night, all day. Like that's not something that really happens with this game. It's like, I'll play this and I'll keep on playing it. And I'm like, okay, now I'm good. But like you said, Battlefield 1 all the time. Like that game was so freaking good. Even after it ended. Yeah,
I don't think there was... I reckon there was a game... What did that come out? 2016. I reckon there was a game that came out that year that I... Like a single player game that I just like kind of quit Battlefield for like 2 weeks to play it. And then I just was straight back on it. I don't think I honestly played any other games that whole year. Until probably Battlefront 2 came out. Which was... end of 2017. So it was a whole year of just almost exclusively being a Battlefield player. I haven't had that with this. I've played that many games in the lifespan of 2042. I've literally played like, I don't even know how many games, like 10 other like massive single player games and other multiplayer games and stuff, because it just can't really hold my attention like the old games used to.
I think that part of it is the live service experience. I think part of it's just the game itself. And a part of it just is the pacing of things. Like it doesn't feel like the pacing is quite there for this game versus the others. Yeah,
100%. And that is just due to the lack of like monthly content. Even if they put all the content, if there was 4 maps per season, but they put them all at the start, I'm pretty sure by the end of it, I'd still be bored.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Call of Duty, for example, they'll do 1 map at the launch of the season, 1 map in the mid-season update. And then by the time you're getting bored, there's the next season with the next map. So the pacing is a big part of it, which is probably, to be fair, something that, I don't know, they may not have thought about because it's not really how it used to be. Like the old Battlefields, they did just do like DLC packs where there's just all the maps came at once. So maybe this is part of the learning curve for them that, you know, this is their first time doing a battle pass and stuff like that. I guess it's their first time doing like a legitimate live service where it's not like paid DLC and stuff. I mean, like Battlefield 5 was too, but that, I don't know if we can count that as like
That doesn't count.
a proper entry into how they want to run Battlefield. So because that game was just, by the time it got really good, but the launch of it was like such a mess that I don't know.
It was a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah. So I think we just let that one slide.
Yeah.
Based on all the previous ones, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, they had like the premium, like the season pass type of deal that used to be how it was in shooters. So maybe that's why the pacing's a bit off with this one, because they just aren't like experienced at doing that. And hopefully this does teach them for the next game that, yeah, you have to be like pumping out constant content. Even if it's a bit more drip-fed. I think I'd prefer slightly drip-fed content than like all of it at once and then just boredom. So, yeah, hopefully it's just like everything with this game. Hopefully it's a bit of a learning curve and they can improve that for the next game.
Yep. Take it from this game and implement it into the next game and just make it a really like tight and enjoyable experience all the way through. And I think whatever happens with the next game, I hope that they don't make the same mistakes that they did with this one, and I don't think they will. Obviously, we've probably said that in the past before about DICE games, and we'll probably say it again about future DICE games, but we'll see how it goes. I just think I think there's some good opportunities for growth and some learning here in this game that I hope they take advantage of. But I also hope that they also just make this game as best as they can too. Yeah, just because this one hasn't been perfect, that doesn't mean that I have to give up on it. Like, I don't want them to just go kind of what it felt like with Battlefield 5, where it was like, it's getting good now, but like the game suffered a bit at the start, so like let's just start fresh with the next one. That's not how it has to be. Like, if the game gets good by the end of it, it's still good, so you don't have to drop it just because it didn't launch well. That was 18 months ago. Like, just forget about that. The game's in a good spot now. Just keep progressing it forward, keep in the background working on the next one, and just try and keep us happy at every point in the process of the current live service and then the lead up to the next game and then the launch of the next game and then that live service. Like, just try and focus on it, on the present, rather than continually like shutting down the game to focus on the next one and like get a clean slate, because it's a never-ending cycle. They need to keep us happy now, because then when the next game launches, if it launches well, that will like compound on itself and we'll just be more and more happy, which is what they need to do. They need to earn our trust back for a long period of time, not just like a little bit here and there and then it goes away, because that's shown that doesn't work. Yeah, exactly. I hope so. I think it's exciting. I love that they have announced a 6th season. I think there's going to be a lot of... I hope that they take everything that they have learned from this experiment almost, and they take it and just make season 6 as best as they can. Yeah. And give us a freaking urban map, please. Yes. Please, guys. Please. I don't care if it's 1 square foot, just give us an urban map. I don't care how big or small it is. It doesn't need to have destruction on every building. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just give me a map that is in the city. That is all I want, please. Yeah. Like, yeah, dude. I can't believe that we haven't gotten that. Yeah. It's very frustrating, especially because there's such a cool, it's such a cool setting in this universe they've made, where like we're in this futuristic war and like half the planet is just like dying off. Yeah. As if that's not a sick
concept for a city map where the city's like falling to bits, almost like Hourglass, but they really just scuffed it on that one.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, like Hourglass, the concept of Hourglass and like that London looking, I think it was London in the short film.
Yes.
Where it's like half underwater and it was dark and there was like neon signs and stuff like that. Just give me that in a map, please. It's such a cool concept for it, and it makes perfect sense both in the story and just the setting of the game, but also they have consistently every season said this map's going to be our smallest one yet because we really want to focus on the close quarters combat. You guys seem to enjoy that. We want to make close quarters maps. Here's a close quarters map. Well, how about make a legitimate close quarters map in the next one?
Yeah.
Because even like Reclaimed is probably the most close quarters one that we've got, I would say, but it's not, I wouldn't define it as a close quarters map. It just has like 3 flags that are close quarters. That's not, I'm talking like every
inch of the map
part of the map. Yeah. There's no, the longest line of sight you've got is a street where there is a long line of sight, but there's also crashed cars on it that you can hide behind. And there's like, you don't need to have like bloody 500 meter lines of sight for snipers. You just don't need that. All the other maps have got it. Put me in a city where the longest engagement I'm in is like 75 meters from me. Like that's a long range of engagement for a close quarters map. So
yeah,
just give me that, please. I beg you.
Yeah, that's my dream season 6.
Yeah.
If they literally just have like a real urban map, I'm sold. They don't have to update the game anymore.
Yeah. And like, I honestly wouldn't even care if it was a remaster. That's the extent that I'm wanting a close quarters map. Just give me like a, I don't know, Battlefield 3 or 4 map that we know, and just like update it to look like to make sense within this game. But
Siege of Shanghai, but like even more sieged.
Yeah. Like something like that. I would accept, because I've said, I think even just last week I said I don't think I really want remastered maps because I like what they've done with Reclaimed, where it's like
reimagined.
It's like taking the concept of another map and it's still completely new. But in that situation, if it was going to give us a close quarters map, then I completely retract that statement, and I'd be down for a straight remaster that just looks, you know, it's like a bit more crashed. Like there's more crashed cars in the streets and there's more. The buildings are collapsing and stuff, but it can be the exact same layout. And if it's a close quarters, genuine urban city type map, then I'm stoked. I don't care what map it is, just give me that one.
Yeah, I really want that. I would be so freaking happy if we got a close quarters city map. That would be so awesome.
Yeah. Please, Dice.
Please. Give. But with that, thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Battlefield Show. Let us know what you think and what you would want to see in a season 6 of Battlefield 2042. And how have you been enjoying the new map? Let us know. And as always, we'd like to thank Ethan Clark for the beautiful thumbnail. All of you for listening. We'll see you on the battlefield.